Do you got, like, this is not a high-skilled athlete from an incredible system. This is drugs.
Boyanka Kostova, the Azerbaijani weightlifter, she was from Bulgaria, then Azerbaijan bought her along with Valentin Christov for $500,000. She got popped again just recently for the second time, this time for Stanozolol, having just won the European Championships.
Could I get in before Zack goes on his rant?
Yes.
I want to talk about just literally from an objective point of view, if we're looking at an athlete, and I was on from the Azerbaijani team, right? So the first thing is, it makes no sense for her to use Stanozolol again, because due to the nature of Stanozolol structure, whatever, it ended up with a 9-month detection time. So it just doesn't make sense for any athlete to ever take Stanozolol ever again. Like, just full stop. Like, they must know that. They have to know that. Someone doping, some team doctor has to know that. That is the most mind-blowing thing about this for me.
But it's not about taking drugs and getting away with it. We know that it's about taking drugs and literally just paying the bribe.
But not for everyone. We don't know that. We know some people still have to do that, So
yeah.
That's for me. But that makes no sense, because you don't know when you're going to come up with against someone who won't take a bribe, for example, or whatever. You still have to play the game. You still have to be smart with your drug taking. So taking Stanozolol just is so fucking stupid from a point of view where you're doping. It just doesn't even make sense. And
we're talking about a country where every single doper on the team has been caught.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Azerbaijan here, and then we're talking about Bulgaria too. Listen to the sentence that Seb said. This was a Bulgarian-born, Bulgarian-trained up through childhood as a youth lifter or whatever, bought by the Azerbaijani team. Right there, I'm already laughing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. It's already a joke. It's already the dumbest shit. I'm sorry. Like, at some point, people on the internet are going to have to stop glorifying systems of training, even though we did just say China has a good system, but we pointed out that doping is a big thing in it. Glorifying systems of training when in reality, the net negative or doping is and will forever be a net positive for countries that don't really have much going for them. Azerbaijan, Bulgaria, as far as sports go, they don't really have much going for them at all. If you're going to dope, who cares if you get caught? It's a slap on the wrist for the country. They'll just take another kid, put him right up there.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen her husband?
Yeah, I've seen him in person, Ivan
Stoichkov. I've snatched 180.
Clean jerk like 205. Or he's clean jerk to like 205 in competition 77. He's a unit, to be fair. But one thing I want to talk about that's kind of, and I know this explains itself because you're like, obviously they don't give a shit. So from what Zack was saying, like that, I totally agree with that. But if she was in a different place, some of the things like the East Germans found after doping was that female athletes either didn't lose any performance. So anti-doping science is a great piece on this, So female athletes didn't lose any performance after they came off drugs, or in some cases they kept progressing, So my thought process with that is, obviously I'm concerned with the individual athlete here, I suppose, which they didn't give a shit about. They just wanted, throw an athlete out there, whatever. As you see from a lot of countries, they just don't give a shit about athletes. But my thought process is, she could have probably gotten very close to numbers that would have won her without taking drugs anymore, So she squatted something, probably the most impressive female squat I've ever seen. Was it 210 kilos at 60 kilos?
She did a 210 double in the back squat and a 200 front squat.
Yeah, so the front squat is ridiculous.
What was the front squat again?
Like 200. It's about 25 kilos. 25 kilos over the IPF world record back squat.
That's lifelong, like that strength. People think about weightlifting, they think, okay, I need to have 200 kilos to clean and jerk 140 or whatever. But you don't always need to have your back squat at 200 kilos the day you do 140, So
right.
She needs to clean and jerk like 130 probably to be in the mix, does she? Something like that.
That would basically win. Yeah. If she does 105, 130, she'd be the best, basically.
She doesn't need 200 kilo front squat, She needs like a 145 kilo front squat. Someone like Jenny Arthur is a great example. She front squats very close to her max clean and jerk, Women can be more efficient.
But also, when you see Jenny Arthur's front squat max, it's not a max.
Not really max. But you get the idea. You get what I mean.
But it's so easy.
like I know we're concentrating on the stuff that the Azerbaijani team doesn't give a shit about her, but in my point of view, it'd be like she probably could have gone to the Olympics without taking drugs ever again after doing 200 kilo front squats, like forever, like you know. But again,
I'll tell you why she wouldn't. I'll tell you why she wouldn't. Because every mental, physiological advantage, every sort of athleticism, it's all directed to drugs. This is the sport being drugs right here. This is a prime example of this is not an elite athlete that everyone thinks is just brilliant. This is drugs. And I am on my channel, I offer disclaimer after disclaimer. I cater to all of the comment sections. I cater to so many people who argue that there's this massive gray area, whereas I feel here there is a cloud of smoke the size of Texas, this wonderful state that I'm in right now, and to say that there's no fire is just disingenuous.
Right.
If there's one athlete of any female athlete that I've run into that I can say, just coldly, that drugs are the lifter, it is Boyanka Kostova. And this is the singular reason why I have disdain for doping. Like, a woman like this. I have a really funny story about Boyanka Kostova. In 2015, she snatched 110, and it was a power snatch.
Yeah.
At what body weight? What was that?
59.
What was at 59?
Yeah.
Okay.
58 was the old one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Smashed a world record with a power snatch. So obviously, right there, we're already looking at someone with low skill, right? Low. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's just how. Even Xi he power cleans, but he'll get forced down into a lower clean, and he's a brilliant snatcher.
Yeah. She is low skill.
She's incredibly low skill. Okay. Yeah. Later, I'm outside of the hotel, and this was, I shit you not, 15 minutes after she broke a world record, she was smoking cigarettes with her coach. And I understand smoking cigarettes as in weightlifting, like that's kind of a cultural thing. And then later on, I think from that, a few weeks prior to that, she did the front squat, right? And then we look at her performance after getting banned, obviously, because everyone on that Azerbaijani team was banned from that performance. And we look at her performance at the Qatar Cup, right? Or how do you say it? Is it Qatar or
it's
Qatar?
The Qatar Cup. But she did, because in 2019, she actually won the Qatar Cup. She beat...
What did she do with that?
But what were her numbers, dude?
Kostova.
I'm almost positive it was like 90 kilos.
No, she that one she did okay. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing. So at the 6th Qatar Cup 2019, she had 101-120, but the year before, at the 5th International Qatar Cup,
what'd she get? Tell me what she got.
She snatched 80.
80,
and she clean and jerked 95.
80. 80. You got this is not a high-skilled athlete from an incredible system. This is drugs.
80 kilos.
I don't want to be like bashing Boyanka as a person though, because it definitely isn't. So we'll talk about the IWF thing again. For the African Federation. She was definitely indoctrinated. This is the thing about the the Bulgarian dude, the 16-year-old. It is some form of abuse if you're doping teenagers, especially female teenagers. You've got to admit, there's hundreds, there has been and probably will be hundreds of Boyankas out there in weightlifting. Everyone knows what the sport is. So it's I feel kind of bad for her, to be honest. From having seen from athletes like this. I know it's crazy to drop her numbers, but I just feel bad for her from the situation because she has no choice. She doesn't have a choice doing that. It was like that, or find a new job, or just get out, and said you've been to Eastern European countries,
clear,
you know what it's like. It's not an easy situation just to be okay, stop weightlifting and go find a job when you've no skills, no education, poor economies, and a lot of them, massive corruption. I just feel bad for the athletes a lot of times like that.
Mm-hmm.
If she was
I think she's
complicit,
back in Bulgaria though. I saw a picture of her and she's hanging out with who's that? Who's the new 81 who I did the video on? who like won, did 207. You know what I mean? With him, and she's with Bozidar Andreev, and she's with all of the Bulgarians again. So I think she might be going back. Round 3.
Yeah, I actually, just to make it clear, like that, the reason I think we need to separate the athlete from the system or whatever. Nat from Hook Grip, Nat or M from Hook Grip, basically said to me after the kid did 207, right? The 16-year-old Bulgarian did 207. He said to me, he's like, none of it matters because it's always going to be a net positive. Always. Yes. These countries have always done this, and they will continue to, they will continue to do this until there's actual repercussions that they can wrap their minds around.
Yeah.
Right? So banning a country for 25 years, or straight up just lifetime banning someone. Or, fining a country like $300,000 when they have no funding themselves. Like things like that, where people will think twice about doping. Because it's like, why not? Even Boyanka Kostova was caught. 2 years later, you could see her total already improving. And it took her till 2021 to get caught again.
Mm-hmm. You know what I feel like recently with weightlifting is the facade has been kind of removed a bit, and it's hard to enjoy these world records. As someone who, I've always said it, and I'll still defend it to this day, that I just like seeing big lifts. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just really like seeing good both of you do as well. Like we were talking about this commentaries. If Ilya could come back and avoid all the tests, I would have no problem with that, and I have no problem saying that. But at the same time, someone came back and set a world record after being, just last month, was it April or May? Someone came back. Yes, that person came back after a ban and set the world record, arguably easier, 2 kilos more than his world record he did before. Yeah. And like, what are you supposed to do with that? Are you supposed to be like, well, obviously he's clean now because he served his ban. Like it's just kind of awkward. It's just kind of embarrassing for the sport.
Yeah.
In some ways, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really enjoy watching that 241 because I was like, we can't even pretend that this is what's happening. You can't even act like, there's nothing left. I feel like with weightlifting, I feel like we're just like, this is really awkward now. Like I feel like there's second-hand embarrassment for world records.
The reality is we have to be okay with loss of results. Until it is possible that some freak of nature decides to weightlift and not play football or not play soccer or, the only way I could see these old world record numbers being hit again is if there is a freak of nature that decides to play the wrong sport. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the odds of that are really low. And you're absolutely right, Owen. Like it's very awkward. It's not as exciting. I think though, for the time being, loss of results has to be something that we're okay with until we kind of cleanse our mind of this. It's happened in quite a few Olympic sports actually. One of them being javelin. They changed the weight of the javelin. Because the wind was affecting it just so tremendously that you would get guys throwing over 100 meters. Like, it was becoming ridiculous. Like, wind-aided javelin was the most ridiculous sport. And now they made the javelin heavier, so now we don't see it thrown as far, right? And the same thing, we could say, we want to see the heaviest weight lifted possible. Well, we also want to see the javelin thrown as far as possible. But they had to make that change.
But is it that you want to see I think it is, but is it that you want to see the javelin thrown as far as possible, or is it that you want to see the best javelin thrower throw whatever it is that javelin as a sport decides you're going to throw?
It has to be the latter, Seb. It has to, or else we just can't continue as an official sport.
That's what I mean. Like, it almost doesn't matter what the weight of the javelin is.
Yes.
As long as we get to see the best javelin thrower. But
no, I don't think that's...
It's going to be the other way around, where it's going to be like, but people want to see the best weightlifters, but they won't, because the best weightlifters are on drugs.
No, I don't think it'll work for weightlifting. No, I genuinely don't think. I think it's too late for a lot of us. I think it's too late for most people who've gone into weightlifting. Like, if you think back, and I know you like think like, oh, the battles are the good ones, and they are. But if you think about the most memorable moments in the last decade of weightlifting, or however long anyone of us has been involved in weightlifting, you don't think of that B session at Worlds in 2017. That was really good. No, remember fucking Ilya in 2014 coming along. Like, that's what you remember, you know. And there's nothing wrong with it admitting like that was amazing. It still is amazing. Drugs or no drugs, like that was still a phenomenal session. Like they're the things you remember, you know. And maybe newer lifters might not. Maybe new fans, if you never knew about that stuff, or maybe you weren't there, or you were enjoying it, you might be like, oh yeah, I don't really like it. Might mean nothing to you. Same way the lifting in the 80s kind of means nothing to us now. But for a lot of the current fans and people involved, I don't think we could ever go back realistically and truly. Like, you could still enjoy sessions, but you'd never, like, you're not going to remember where you were when you watched Ilya do 242 or whatever, you know. It's not going to have that same buzz for. And again, I suppose, like you're saying, you've got to be okay with it, which is why we've got to have a massive untested competition next year.
Yeah.